Namaste, yoga mamas and mamas to be. I'm Emma from Becoming Mama Yoga, and this is a session suitable for everyone at every stage of motherhood, from preconception through pregnancy and postnatal. It's just designed to give you a little taster of my teaching style. I hope you'll enjoy. It should be safe for everyone, including those in the 2-week wait, those in the third trimester, early postnatal, including for C-section. I'm just going to give a couple of modifications for some specific conditions, and I will be sure to tell you what those are. First trimester, ladies. The general recommendation is, if you've never done yoga before, not to take it up during your first trimester. That tends to go in yoga circles for everything. You just wouldn't start anything new in your first trimester on account of all the changes already happening in your body. You don't need extra new things going on. However, this is a very gentle practice, so it's up to you. You could ask a doctor or a physio if it seems like it would be okay for you to do some gentle yoga, or if you've done something similar like Pilates, dance, or that sort of thing, particularly in the lead up to your pregnancy, so your body's already used to moving in those ways, then you're very likely to be okay to do it. But for everyone, regardless of their stage, at all times with yoga, tune into your body. If anything hurts, that's not right. You need to ease out of it and maybe do a gentler version of that pose, or find an alternative, or just wait until the next pose and join in again then. Props for this class are you can have nothing at all and still do it. You could have baby with you if you're postnatal and baby's not asleep and you just need to have them nearby. They can join you. If you want props, yoga block or two is really good, especially in pregnancy. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. Maybe a pillow from your lounge could be good for everybody, or even a towel or a blanket that you can fold and roll and do different things with. A bolster if you have it, particularly if you're pregnant. At the very end, it's a great idea to have something to support your legs for Shavasana. So if you don't have a bolster, maybe you could grab a couple of pillows from a bed. That would probably do. So let's get into it. Everybody come to a comfortable seat of your choice. You can do it flat on the floor. You could even do it on a chair if you needed to, but it's a good idea for everybody, but particularly our prenatal ladies, to lift the hips higher than the knees. So this comes up a lot in general yoga classes because it's really good for the posture anyway, but it's great to help our prenatal and also our postnatal ladies to be able to sit up a little straighter and more comfortably. So legs crossed, however, is comfortable for you. If it's more comfortable to do so, you could potentially sit with them in this sort of M shape. So that's Vajrasana, where you're sitting just inside your heels. Find whatever's comfortable for you, and we will get straight into inhaling the arms up overhead. Lift and lengthen through the spine as though there's an invisible string from the crown of your head lifting you up. Just check in with the navel, see if you've sort of dropped forward. If you can, lift the navel in and up towards the spine, even if it's gentle, particularly in pregnancy, gentle movement, but it just helps to stabilize through the spine. And when you're ready, take hold of the left wrist with the right hand. So we've inhaled, we've lifted and lengthened, and when we're ready, we're going to exhale and lean over towards the right, just warming up through the spine. Right lateral stretch. Inhale back to center, and we're going to twist. This is an open twist, fine for pregnancy. So on an exhale, I'm going to get you to bring your arms down. Right hand might go towards the left knee, but if you're going around a belly, maybe you keep it on the right knee, or just wherever's comfortable is fine. Twist from the base of the spine all the way up. So base of the spine always leads the movement, and finally we turn to look over the left shoulder. Left hand is just going to come somewhere comfortable behind us, probably touching the mat, but it doesn't have to. What's more important is that you keep the length through the spine. Maybe a couple of breaths here in the first round just to enjoy your twist, and because I gave you quite a lot of instructions there. Inhale back to center, arms back up overhead. And we're just going to do that lateral stretch on the left. So we take hold of the right wrist this time and we lean over towards the left on an exhale, opening up through the rib spaces, and then inhale back to center. When you're ready, on an exhale, you're going to twist towards the right, once again leading from the base of the spine. Maybe the left hand comes to the right knee, maybe not. Look over the right shoulder. Couple of breaths there before you inhale the arms back up overhead, nice and long through your spine. Now we're going to exhale, lower the arms either in front of you or out to the sides is fine. Find what feels good to you. Chin to chest as you exhale and roll down through the spine. This is a seated version of cat-cow. Eventually the tailbone's going to tuck under. You can have a breath or two here if it feels pretty good on your lower spine. Particularly good for our breastfeeding ladies, also quite good in pregnancy. And the inhale, as we roll up, let's bring our arms up overhead as well. And looking up towards the fingertips and then head back to neutral. Let's move with the breath and do that whole sequence again 2 more times. So we've inhaled, we're lifted and lengthened. Take hold of the left wrist and exhale right. Lateral stretch. Inhale back to center. Exhale, twist left. Inhale back to center, arms up. Exhale, taking hold of the right wrist, leaning to the left. Inhale back to center, arms up. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms floating down, chin to chest, rolling down through the spine. Inhale, roll back up through the spine, arms coming up overhead. Take hold of the left wrist and exhale over to the right. Inhale back to center, twisting to the left on an exhale. Inhale back to center, take hold of the right wrist, exhale over to the left. Inhale, center, and then exhaling to the right. Inhale back to center, and exhaling chin to chest, rolling down through the spine. Inhaling, arms back overhead. This time bring the hands down through heart center, prayer hands, namaste hands. And rest them comfortably on your lap for a moment. I'm just going to talk through our next pose. So we're going to come onto hands and knees and move into downward facing dog. Preconception, no issues at all with this. Prenatal, the bigger your belly gets, the more your legs are going to be apart and the more likely you are to feel comfortable with your hands up on blocks of some description. However, I did this in pregnancy with my hands on the ground right up until my due date. So these are all just options. So prenatal, the bigger your belly gets, the more you're going to spread your feet apart. They might very well end up as wide as the mat. You can do it after you're up, depending on your comfort levels. Postnatal, just take care if you are less than 6 weeks postnatal, and particularly C-section. Any yoga post C-section at less than 6 weeks, you're going to have to be extra gentle because they really don't want you aggravating your abdominal muscles because you've had all 4 layers cut through to get the baby out, and that is a very significant surgery, so we're being extra super gentle at all times. You're probably going to be better to do this sequence on your back. You're just going to use your hands to really help you to lower down to your back or come down onto your side first and then roll to your back. Feet in nice and close to the buttocks, and then when I explain pelvic tilts once we're up, you can do the pelvic tilts as well. For now, maybe just resting, so walk the feet apart a little bit so the knees can come together, and rest here because you ladies need all the rest you can possibly get. If your baby's with you, you could put them up on you for some tummy time, or they can play happily on the mat, whatever suits best. Everybody else, we are going to come to downward facing dog. So either hands up on blocks, just take care that the blocks can't slide away from you. So they should be maybe up against a wall, or fold your yoga mat over the front of them, or just no blocks is fine too. Plant the hands. Knees are nicely under the hips, and then tuck the toes. We're going to exhale and press the hips up towards the sky, so the tailbone is really facing up and the creases of the elbows sort of face forward, and keep the knees bent at first so that you can really press back towards those thighs. So belly is pressing towards the thighs, and then we're straightening through the legs. If you'd like to, you can take your dog for a little walk. If you have any blood pressure issues, you're just not going to hang out here for too long, so you're going to walk forwards quite quickly and bring your head above the level of your heart. So something like a halfway lift there. Anyone who was still in downward facing dog can now make their way to the front of the mat. So our preconception has the option to hop forwards if they're quite strong and able to hop all the way forwards so the feet are near the hands. Otherwise, we can all walk forwards. Our prenatal ladies can keep the feet quite wide apart and walk or waddle forwards. And then you can keep the knees particularly bent if you have any sciatica issues. Everyone else should be fine with a forward fold with straight legs if they'd like. So when you're ready, we're just going to roll up through the spine. So from the base of the spine, lead the movement rolling slowly up. Prenatal ladies or anyone who's having difficulty with that, you can walk the hands up the legs as you come to stand. And I'm just going to move us over to a wall. I'd like you to move to a wall too, where you can do a couple of poses. I don't have an actual wall out here and baby is asleep inside and I'm worried about waking her. So I'm just going to go to a post, and we're going to pretend that's a wall. Okay, so over here, if you have a block, you have the option to place it between the thighs to help turn on those inner thigh muscles a bit more and give you a little bit more ability to tune into your pelvic floor. Everybody should be capable of doing that, but no one has to use the block. We're just going to lean against the wall, walk the feet out a little, so you slide down your wall a little bit, and then with or without the block, we're just doing a squat at the wall. So make sure the feet are nicely aligned as though there's an imaginary starting line in front of them and you've got your toes on both feet aligned. Check in with the posture. Make sure you're nice and comfortably upright, and your back is just in neutral spine at the moment. So there would be the ability to fit a finger or two in behind the back. Shoulder blades are back down and together. That might mean facing the palms forwards to help you get that. That's really quite a good counter pose for breastfeeding mums. It's also quite a good idea for women in pregnancy to get in the habit of having this good posture, bringing the shoulders back down and together to help keep the spine nice and strong. If you've got the block, you're squeezing the block. If not, the feet can be together if it's comfortable, and this is great for strengthening the legs, or you can move the feet apart if it's more comfortable, particularly if you've got a pregnant belly. You're going to work around the belly. So from here, just the wall squat is really a good strengthener, particularly in pregnancy, good for rebuilding postnatal strength. But we're also going to add pelvic tilts here. So our friends on the floor are going to do the pelvic tilts as well, because it should be safe for everybody. But if you've had a C-section and it causes you any pain, just relax, and maybe you can do just some gentle pelvic floor movements instead, just lifting and lowering in those Kegels that the physios have probably already told you about. In case they haven't, it's basically imagining it somewhere around the level of the cervix, lifting in and up towards the spine. So a few quick ones of those, and then a few longer holds. Those of us doing the pelvic tilts, we're just going to move with the breath, and on an inhale we relax everything, and then on an exhale we scoop everything in and up, and the back naturally flattens when we do that and we get our pelvic tilt. So Inhale, relax, let the abdomen expand, let the pelvis sort of rotate forwards a little, and then exhale, scooping everything in and up so that the back flattens against the wall. Do that a few more times. This is really good pelvic floor strengthening and core stability. If you are pregnant, you're going to be quite gentle on that, lifting everything in and up. The pelvic floor, if you can isolate it, you can do that as much as you'd like, but the abdominal work we're just being really gentle with while we've got baby in there. You could support the belly with the hands if you need the help, and just focus on isolating pelvic floor and maybe the back in your pelvic tilt. Everybody else is fine to really lift everything in and up towards the spine, strengthening through the core muscles. Once you've had a good amount of movement there, you can remove the block if you've got it, walk the feet back in towards the wall and slide slowly up to stand. While we're here, we're going to do clock it or wall stretch. It's really good for our postnatal mothers, helps with breastfeeding. It can help encourage increased circulation. Maybe we'll do it and I'll talk through it as we go. So stand with your left side to the wall. Inhale the left arm up. Right arm can be up too if you like. Let's place the palm up as though you're a clock and you're at 12 o'clock. That's the first position, and then when you're ready, you're just going to move the hands sequentially back, just to wherever's comfortable. So move it back a little. Maybe you get to 11 o'clock, maybe you get to 10 o'clock, maybe some of us even get to 9 o'clock. And we're just opening up through the pectoral muscles. So it can feel really good in pregnancy or even just when you've done a lot of office work, computer-based work. But it's really good for encouraging circulation through the area the milk ducts are trying to do their work. So it can really help you with your breastfeeding. Plus it's a good counter pose because we tend to hunch in when we're breastfeeding. When you're ready, just walk the hand back up to that 12 o'clock position and then exhale, bring it down. Turning around, we're going to do the other side. So we inhale the right arm up, touching on the wall, and then we're going to move back sequentially. So we're at 12, moving down to 1, 2, maybe even 3, getting a good stretch, and then inhaling back up, exhaling, the arm can come down. Coming back to our mat now, we're going to exhale and roll down through the spine, so chin to chest first and rolling down into our forward fold again. Legs quite bent, particularly if you have any sciatica. Maybe you walk the feet apart if you need to accommodate a baby bump. And then from there, let's just walk the hands forward and come to hands and knees. So as you can see, I've ended up with my trusty assistant, Caitlin, here after she woke up from her nap. She is 9 months old, and it's kind of nice that you get to meet her and see how flexible your yoga practice has to become once baby's on the outside. That's all right, isn't it, Papa? That's all right, we do what we can. Okay, so once we've come to hands and knees, we're just going to sweep the feet around to one side, any side, and sit back down, and then we're going to meet our early postnatal friends on our backs on the mat. So pregnant ladies just need to take care with coming down. If you are more than about 24 weeks pregnant, we're maybe going to put you on your side, preferably your left-hand side. Right-hand side is also okay if it's more comfortable for you. Just because the baby does start to get too heavy and can compress some major blood vessels if you spend too much time on your back after about 24 weeks. A short time is fine, a long time not so much. So I'd like you to go on your sides. Anyone earlier than that, anyone postnatal and preconception, even in the 2-week wait, you're all fine on your backs. So back or side lying, using your hands to help you come down if you are prenatal or postnatal. Very important to protect our weakened abdominal muscles. So let's start with our prenatals on your side. I'm going to give you an alternate because everyone else is going to be doing bridge. So you can have the knees bent or you can have the legs completely straight and see how you go with a few light little lifting and lowering of the upper leg. So the leg that's on top rather than the upper leg, I suppose. You can point the toes slightly towards your head and slightly down to increase the amount of work that leg is doing. Just take care that you're not straining the belly. So it might be quite a subtle lifting and lowering. What's up, Bob? I didn't mean that. Right? So it might be quite a subtle lifting and lowering depending on your comfort level, and maybe bending the knees can help with that. If you have SPD, so pubic symphysis dysfunction, you're not going to lift very much at all, because the further apart your legs go, the more you can exacerbate that pain. If you are having trouble with that, you could keep the feet together. And like I will say, I did have SPD myself, and I was still capable of doing little lifts and lowers. If you needed a little bit more, maybe you could circle. So you're not bringing the two sides of the pelvis apart very much, and you're just circling. Still gives you a nice strengthening exercise. If you're circling, make sure to circle back and forward. Everybody who's on their back, we're going to set up for bridge pose. Even our later postnatal ladies are fine usually to do bridge pose for a short time. So if you prefer, you can come and join us here. You're just not going to spend too long on your back. So everybody who's on their back is going to bring their feet flat to the floor. Their knees are going to be pointing up. If you have your bubble with you and they're getting a bit fussy, you could pop them up on your belly. Bigger ones like this could sit up on your belly. Littler ones could maybe have some tummy time on your belly, or if they're not happy, they can just lay on their backs on top of you or snuggled into your side. So our heels are roughly a hand length away from the buttocks, and we're nice and long through our spine, chin lightly tucked, gaze straight up to the ceiling to prevent any strain on our neck when we start to come up. Early postnatals, so that's less than 6 weeks, whether it's C-section or not, you're going to just move into pelvic tilts or pelvic floor exercises. You're not going up into bridge yet. After 6 weeks, you're fine, as long as you didn't have a C-section. If you did have a C-section, you're going to have to take it very slowly and carefully and maybe run it past a doctor or physio first. Our prenatal ladies who are that little bit more heavily pregnant and are on their backs, we're just not going to keep them here too long. So I'm going to have my arms down by my side. Palms can be face up or pressing into the mat, and just tilt the pelvis like we were before. So we're going to tilt it a couple of times, and then when we're ready, we're going to exhale and press up into that bridge pose. This can be quite nice for pregnancy, even advanced pregnancy, because it just gets the weight of the baby off the belly for a little bit. If you did have a block or two, you could always pop them underneath you to give you some extra support if it's hard to stay up in the pose. Our prenatal more than 24 weeks are just going to hang out here for maybe 2 or 3 breaths, and then remove the block if you have it, roll back down and roll to your side for a rest. You can always come back and do a couple more, or you can lift and lower a few times with the breath. So exhaling, pressing up, and inhaling, relaxing, and coming back down. So see how you go. Everyone else is following the same instructions as our prenatals. It's just you obviously don't need to keep coming to rest on your side. The sun is getting in my eyes here, but it's beautiful to see because we've had quite a few days of rain. So this bridge pose is really quite good for strengthening again in the postnatal period as well. It's quite safe for preconception. Most of our postnatals who are greater than 6 weeks, and prenatal, with my third, I did it all the way up until about 39 weeks, just as long as I never spent too long on my back. With my last baby, this one, I just found that I couldn't do it because my belly was causing too much pain and my hips were just far too painful. Couldn't do it quite so far, but I think I got a bit past 24, maybe 28 weeks. And you can also do a mini version of bridge. So if you're not getting all the way up until you're resting on the shoulder blades, that's completely fine. You can do as much or as little bridge as you like. If you are particularly strong, maybe our preconception or our more than 6 months postnatal, you could potentially look at holding both sides of the pelvis in the same plane and reaching one leg out. But if you've got lingering sacroiliac joint pain, then you're probably not going to do that because it does put quite a lot of strain on those. Everyone else, more than 6 months postnatal or preconception or exceptionally strong in a pregnancy and less than 24 weeks, you could do things like that to add to the complexity of the exercise. When we're ready, we're all just going to roll back down and then bring the knees in. Prenatal is going to have the legs nice and wide around baby bump. So that's every prenatal lady. Once you know you're pregnant, you're just not going to squish into the belly. So your legs can be nice and wide. Anyone who doesn't have a baby harbored on the inside there is going to be more able to bring the knees in and give them a nice big hug. If you do have baby with you, this can be a nice time to just pop them up on your knees and have a little playtime. They usually do like this. Maybe rocking a bit forwards and back and massaging out your lower back while you have a little bit of interaction with your beautiful baba. You could also roll side to side a little bit if you feel stable to do so, or draw some circles with the knees. And then when you're all done, baby might come onto your belly or back to their mat. They could sit up if they like. And that's most of our practice done. All our prenatals should probably be back onto their side by now if they're more than 24 weeks. And under... Okay. Yeah? You're going to take over? Let's twist the spine one more time to just finish our practice off. So all our later prenatals on their side can still do a nice open twist. Even if you are a quite advanced pregnancy, you can just do a gentle twist of the upper body by bringing the, say that you're on your right side, you bring your left arm up and over, sort of sweeping it in this sort of rainbow shape overhead and turn to look out over the left shoulder. That gives you a nice, safe, open, gentle twist that you can still do safely. And then you would turn over and do that on the right. When you're turning, try to always go belly down. So you would come back up on your knees to turn over rather than going belly up. Everybody less than 24 weeks, if you're quite happy on your back, then you can join us for the standard supine twist. Baby, once again, could be on your belly or off to the side, whatever suits you. You can have your knees bent if you like, both knees bent, or you can lengthen out the left leg and just roll over towards the left-hand side and look out over the right shoulder. So what that looks like with the knees bent is basically the same thing. Inhale, bring everything back up to center, and then exhaling. I should just say, be really careful if you're less than 6 weeks postnatal doing this. You're just going to be very, very, very gentle. You should be all right to do it, but if it's painful, then stop, particularly if you're post C-section. So if we've inhaled, we're back to center. I'm just going to bring the left arm out long now and either both knees bent or right leg out long. Exhale over to the right-hand side. Look out over the left. Couple of breaths there. Inhaling back to center. And Shavasana can look very different at different stages, mostly less than 24 weeks. So our preconception and our less than 24 weeks could do Shavasana on their backs, arms and legs out long, spine nice and long, gentle rest integrating your practice here. Greater than 24 weeks is going to be on one side. As I said, left side is preferable, but you can do whatever you like. It can be really good to have a bolster or some pillows or even your blocks in between the knees to the ankles to help keep the pelvis in alignment and give you a good rest there. You could also have a bolster in front of you and put your top leg up on top of the bolster if that's more comfortable. You can prop some pillows under your arms for increased comfort. And our postnatal ladies are fine to go back onto their backs if that's comfortable. It can be really nice to pop a bolster under the knees, particularly if you've had a C-section and you maybe are a little bit uncomfortable like that. You do also always have the option to stay on your side if it's too uncomfortable to lay on your back. So, staying there for as long as you've got, integrating the effects of your practice is always nice, and I hope you had some fun. Namaste. Sorry, Mama's just a little postscript there because I forgot to tell you how to get back up after Shavasana. So those on their sides are just going to use their hands to press up to sit, and those on their back. So if you are postnatal, please, if you don't have your recti completely healed yet, so that's your abdominal gap, usually anyone less than 6 months postnatal, some of us more than 6 months postnatal, please make sure to roll to your side and use your hands to press up to sit rather than putting any strain on your abdominal muscle. Especially important for the first 6 weeks and up to 6 months, and for some women beyond that. So just take care of your abdominal muscles. Have a great day.